Lebanon's Hezbollah group has said it launched explosive-laden drones at military targets in Tel Aviv, in which the Israeli rescuers said 5 people were injured. The Hezbollah, in a statement, said it carried out an air offensive with a squadron of attack drones against sensitive military points in the city of Tel Aviv. According to medics, Tel Aviv suburbs of Bnei Brak and Ramat Gan area were hit in the missile attack on central Israel. They said the victims were all hit by shrapnel. However, the IDF said one surface-to-surface missile fired from Lebanon was intercepted by air defenses, and the fragments from the interception impacted the 2 Tel Aviv suburbs, causing a fire and extensive damage to surrounding buildings and vehicles. The IDF said both the injuries and the damage were caused by fragments of an intercepted missile. However, Israeli police later contradicted the military's claimed interception. Tel Aviv Police Chief Haim Sargerov confirmed that the incident involved a direct hit from a heavy rocket, not an intercepted missile, as the military had claimed.
As you can see behind me, a short while ago, projectile impact landed right here in the city of Bnei Brak, a residential area with lots of civilians around us. We're talking about multiple impact sites. Right now, as we know, there are 4 injured in various conditions, according to medical sources.
In Israel's northern town of Shwaram, a 41-year-old woman identified as Safa Awad was killed and dozens of others were wounded by a rocket that hit a 3-storied building. Medics said the woman was trapped inside the building and recovered by rescue services, but declared dead shortly afterwards. According to the IDF, the Hezbollah fired around 100 projectiles into the northern Israel area, with some intercepted by air defenses while others fell in open areas. Some of the rockets impacted in towns, causing damage to a building in the border city of Kiryat Shmona. Meanwhile, Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israel will continue to operate against Iran-backed Hezbollah, even if a ceasefire deal is reached upon. The Israeli Prime Minister told the parliament that there was no evidence that the Hezbollah would respect any truce. So, to keep the armed group from rebuilding, the Israeli army will be forced to ensure security in the north and systematically carry out operations against the Hezbollah.
But the most important thing is not the paper of the settlement with Hezbollah, even if such a paper exists. With all due respect, the paper itself is not enough. We will be forced to ensure our security in the north and to carry out operations against Hezbollah's attacks even after a ceasefire, which no one is saying that it's going to last. It's not just about retaliation, whether preventive or in response to an attack. It's also about the ability to prevent Hezbollah from strengthening.
Furthermore, Israel launched a new bombing raid on central Beirut on Monday, killing 5 people. Lebanon's health ministry said 31 people were wounded in the attack in densely populated residential area of Zukak al-Blath, which is close to the UN headquarters, the parliament, the Prime Minister's office, and several embassies. The target of the airstrike remained unclear, and the Israeli army did not issue a prior warning. Now, the strike came following reports that the U.S. envoy had delayed his visit for ceasefire talks. Reports said that the U.S. Special Envoy Amos Hochstein was expected in the region this week. According to a Lebanese official, Lebanon's government has largely endorsed a U.S. truce proposal to end the Israel-Hezbollah war and was preparing final comments before sending a response to Washington. Lebanese authorities say more than 3,510 people have been killed since October last year, with most casualties recorded since September. Our correspondent Jody Cohen with us live now from Ra'anana in Israel. Jody, from the latest reports that we've seen, the Hezbollah continues to strike within Israel. What is the ground situation that you can tell us?
Hi, Isha. So Hezbollah are firing on average, I would say, around 100 rockets every day at Israel. These are becoming more frequent in Tel Aviv and the center of the country, where they're happening a few times a week, including last night in Ra'anana and just now in Ra'anana. I've literally just come out of a bomb shelter. Now, the people in the north of Israel are experiencing and have been experiencing daily rockets from Lebanon for more than a year now, and these are often happen several times a day for them. Now, Netanyahu addressed Parliament in which he talked about the various war fronts. On Iran, which is directing its proxies Hamas and Hezbollah and others, Netanyahu said that Israel would re-evaluate its ability to act against Iran's nuclear program once President Trump returns to office, and suggested that Iran's path to a nuclear bomb has been delayed but not blocked. Now, on ceasefires with Iran's proxies Hamas and Hezbollah, Netanyahu said that he won't back a deal if it leaves Hamas able to return to power. And on Lebanon, Netanyahu suggested that if a deal is agreed, Israel would need to be able to operate against Hezbollah if Hezbollah again attacks Israel or tries to rebuild or get close to Israel's border.
Jody, Amos Hochstein is headed to Beirut. The Hezbollah says it is ready for truce. Shin Bet chief is in Turkey to discuss restarting truce talks. Now, with these events taking place, why is the truce not actually materializing and we only see these series of talks happening?
So I'd say it's not just talks happening. First of all, there's also military pressure. And that's because simply no agreement has yet been reached. But on Lebanon, the US has said that progress has been made. And we're hearing reports that Amos Hochstein, the US envoy to Lebanon, has now arrived in Beirut. And that seems to be a positive sign, because we'd had heard that he would delay his trip if there weren't positive signs that an agreement could be made. And a Lebanese official reportedly has said that Hezbollah has agreed to the ceasefire proposal with comments. But some commentators are suggesting that that, of course, means that they've not yet reached a deal. Now, on Gaza, Netanyahu has indicated that US officials agree with Israel that maximum pressure must be applied on Hamas so that it would withdraw its unrealistic demands for a deal. Now, after reports that Hamas's leadership have moved from Qatar to Turkey, US State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller suggested that the US does not believe that the leaders of what he called a vicious terror organization should be living comfortably anywhere, including in NATO ally countries. Now, Miller also noted that some Hamas officials, such as Khaled Mashal, are under US indictment and should be handed over to the US, and said that the US would make it clear to the Turkish government that there can be no more business as usual with Hamas. So it remains to be seen if this pressure tactic now on Hamas would perhaps lead anywhere, but it does seem more positive in terms of Lebanon.
Right. Jody, thank you so much for joining us with those latest updates. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.